What's good, everyone? Welcome back to Redcat Live for yet another installment of what Oscar going to talk about today. It's truly a shocking episode, I swear. Not electrifying, just shocking. Kind of springy, like you got to spring into effect. Or recoil yourself. You know where I'm going with it, guys. Check it out. It's another week. It's a new installment. Thank you all for joining us here today. If this is your first time here on the live, thank you so much for joining us. We'll try not to bore you so much. If you do like what you see and you want to be notified, make sure you click that notification bell so that you're notified anytime that we go live. And hopefully if you have any kind of insects or rodents that you need to scare, now's the best time to do so because this face scares them all away. Just saying, right? But first and foremost, man, let's say what's up, man. Mr. CJ Hicks, what's going on, good sir? Thank you for stopping on by. Tony Gutierrez, what up, man? Dixon's in the house as well. Terry Burke, man. Terry Burke, what's good, homie? How you doing, bro? Dustin Cooley's here, man. What's good? What's good? Vince Vargas, man. I haven't talked to Vince in a while, man. Hopefully you're doing well, Vince. Thank you for swinging on by. Neil Vela, man, he's representing all the way from Texas. Hey, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Are you going to be heading out to the Dallas Lowrider show by chance? We'll talk about that in a bit because we've been talking about it the last couple weeks as far as events happening and what have you. I'm still trying to collect pictures and videos and anything that I can of this last week's event. There was actually a pretty good event in Pomona, California at the LA County Fair, the Culture of the Low and Slow. As always, Frixion RC in conjunction with Block Boys RC and Notorious Entertainment. They pulled out all the stops. They had a great event like normal. They had a street scene set up. From the few pictures I was able to see here and there, it looked like a really awesome and epic event. I look forward to maybe getting a couple more things so that we can share those with you guys in the next coming weeks. Dayton, man, what's good, man? Aloha. Derek is also here in the house. What's going on, man? Felix, going on, man? How you doing, bro? Hey, I love it, man. He ended up ordering those Zen Blue garage displays, and just so you guys know, we do still I do still have that code active right now, where if you go to zenblue.com, you can order your Zen Blue display case. I believe it's $20 off, but if you buy two of them, you get free shipping, so it ends up being like $130 some. You can get two for that price, so kind of a nice deal. Neo, man, thank you so much. William, there we go. He had a good question. What's the ET on the release on the 26s? So 26s should have already been here by now. Unfortunately, when we received the last sample a few weeks ago on the spokes themselves, there was some fitment issues that we weren't really 100% happy with. So we went ahead and had the factory kind of make a lot of tweaks and adjustments, which unfortunately is going to take a little bit longer than expected. In a perfect world, we should see them hopefully within the next few weeks. That is the best case scenario that I'm told at this time. I did check right before we came in here. If there is a way to get them here any sooner, we definitely are going to do everything that we can so that we can start getting those out to folks that desperately want them. So thank you guys for your patience on this. We know it's been a pain. We're working on the solution as well as the logistics to get them here as quickly as possible for you guys. And hopefully that changes by the day. Yoshi's in the house, man. Hey, I appreciate you, Yoshi. Yoshi and I had a great conversation when it had to do with one's physical health and eating right. So I appreciate you, man. Great conversation with you. So let's kind of just dive into today's episode. So in a lot of ways, there's one thing when it comes to any RC in general that kind of always seems to be a topic, right? Especially if you're in the crawler scene, you're in the basher scene, you're in the lowrider scene, we always see people either start to make and or offer some form of a shock coil absorber type of an option. So the great guys over at Pitbull RC sent us a set of Pitbull KRONIK shocks, which are the BDS licensed shocks. I specifically asked for sizes that specifically cater to the actual cars that we offer, and I actually have these shocks already on my personal crawlers, my Redcat branded ones and my not Redcat branded crawlers. I've actually had a really good luck with the KRONIK shocks, and I actually really do enjoy them and like them. They're really buttery smooth. But the cool thing about it is they actually offer quite a variety of sizes. When it comes to the KRONIK shocks themselves, they do offer them in the 100 millimeter size, 90 millimeter size, 80 millimeter size, as well as a 70. So they do offer quite a bit of options depending on your scale needs. If you are a owner specifically of the Gen 8 or Gen 9, the shock length on those are going to be 96 millimeters. So you're asking yourself, well, the 90s will probably be the best in this situation, right? Yeah, you can either go 90 or you can go 100, right? You're talking about a difference of 6 millimeters one way or 4 millimeters the other. In my opinion, I actually like to go a little bit smaller with the slightly smaller tire. That's my style of builds. Doesn't have to be yours, but at the end of the day, choosing a good shock, a good quality shock oil to complement them really goes a long way with how any vehicle is going to crawl, bash, or even drift, right? Because we see that happening in the drift scene as well. So some of the key bits on the actual BDS licensed shocks, the KRONIK shocks from Pitbull RC, is that they come with the black anodized aluminum shock cap, the hard anodized aluminum in gold on the body itself. It does have a preload adjuster. It has 4 internal shaft seals, which in my opinion is really great. If you've been in the crawler scene or you know and have purchased shocks from other manufacturers, the worst thing that you can have is you fill them up with oil and you use them a few times and they're puking out oil everywhere. Sucks because then you have to refill them up, right? In this situation with these, they kind of thought about that really well. I'm about 1.5 years on my personal comp truck with these shocks and haven't had any leaks happen as of yet, but it definitely is, in my opinion, worth buck-wise on buying a good set of shocks, especially if you're going to be using your vehicle, RC, crawler, you know, in the long term. Let's see here. The shocks that do come with the Gen 9, I do like them. I'm not opposed to them one bit. They're, in my opinion, actually a really great shock. And just for what I use them for, they're just a little bit too long because I do like to run hard bodies on them and change the geometry of the suspension, which makes me use smaller shocks, right? So let's take a look at the actual KRONIK shocks. I dig them because they do come with either a dual spring rate design, or you can modify them and do a single spring rate design, which, you know, it's kind of a cool little addition to have. So let's open these bad boys out really quick. Jared Say, they offer them in a couple different sizes. The link in the description in this video will take you to their website, as well as in the description it describes the lengths of the shocks that they offer as well on the KRONIKs themselves. And we're going to go over 2 different variations of shocks. We're going to go over the BDS, the KRONIK shocks that are the BDS licensed ones. I don't know why, but like I like that little toolkit that comes with them. They're bad, right? They're awesome. But again, when you talk about a big bore and a small bore type of a shock, generally what comes on these Gen 9s resemble more of what would be a big bore, right? It's a bigger shock shaft, a bigger shock body, and allows for a lot of movement. What I like about what they did with these is not only do they seal really well, but the shock shaft is actually fairly big. I think Pitbull did a really great job at designing these. Let me give you guys a little bit of a close-up on these bad boys. Let's see, there we go. And again, you can take off the double spring and opt to go with the single spring rate, which is also very nice to do, right? Then you have this adjustable, or not adjustable, sorry, this wrench that comes with it so that you can actually tighten and loosen up the actual shock top the body itself or the actual dampener adjuster, right? Kind of brings up another subject, right, which is what kind of shock oils to use. You're going to get, this is one of those questions where you're going to get 30 different answers from 30 different people. Everyone has their preference on the shock weight of oil that they want to use in their vehicle. I think for me, it really depends on the total weight of the truck itself, would decipher what weight of oil I want to use. But generally speaking, if you're running anything from like a 6 to a 8-pound truck, I personally like to run somewhere in the vicinity of 30, 35 weight oil, and roughly around 45 to 50 in the rear. I do like the rear to be a lot stiffer than the front, and that helps a lot of ways when you're ascending uphill, and it helps the rear to not kind of squat down on you so that it actually keeps biting and eating. So just food for thought. If it's something that you haven't done, definitely check it out. Another thing that you should also know when it comes to shock oils, you do have that variance when it comes to, like, let's say standard and metric, right? A lot of shock oils produced and sold here in the United States are going to be categorized by a weight, right? So a 35 weight, 40 weight, 55 weight, 70 weight is an actual weight of oil that they use as a viscosity to categorize the actual oil itself. When you look at some of the manufacturers in Europe, they use what's called CST. So that 35 or 30 weight turns into 3,000 CST. So keep that in mind when you're shopping for your shock oils to either do maintenance on your truck and or if you're buying shocks and using them. When you look at that 3,000 weight or CST compared to the 30 weight, you're actually talking about the same exact weight of oil. Just one is manufactured by US and one is going to be more of a European metric measuring system, right? Let's double check some of these questions really quick, make sure I'm not missing anyone. Phoenix RC Crawler, man, thank you for the kind wishes, man. He says, hope everyone is having a better day. Man, I love that, man. Kind of spread that positivity. Felix Jose de Leo, exactly, man. It really depends on your overall weight of the vehicle that you use. Great point. RC Nitro Flux. Do you think you ever sell Redcats in UK, import tax and duties? Jacks the prices up. I've heard that quite a bit. I don't know what the future holds within that realm, but great question, and I'm sure that the powers that be are watching, and hopefully something that can be offered in the near future to help a lot of folks across the pond be able to enjoy the hobby that we so graciously, get to do here in the U.S. So yeah, guys, so BDS shocks, definitely recommend them. These are actually made by Pitbull RC. Again, description of the link. Link for is in the description of this video for you to go and check them out, check out the different sizes, and pick up a set. They're definitely proud of them. They're over $90 for a pair. But I will say this, I'm really satisfied with the actual KRONIK shocks, and I've had them again on my personal trucks for a little bit over a year already and really dig them. They do a really great job, and they are so buttery smooth. Even these that are dry right now have a really nice smooth effect to them. So that's one option that you guys can go with, right? The BDS licensed shocks by KRONIK that are made by Pitbull. So there might be another avenue, and the other avenue, as like we like to discuss here, is good, better, best, right? Especially when it comes to pricing. We talked about the best in essence of pricing, right? They're out there. You're talking about spending $180 for a set of 4 shocks, and yeah, that could be expensive to some folks, right? I mean, I'm not going to be one to judge whether you buy or not buy, whether you choose to save your money and spend it on other avenues or not. I'm a budget-friendly guy when it comes to crawling and when it comes to just RCing in general. I always try to find the best bang for the buck. So after talking to the guys over at Pitbull RC and talking to them about their shocks and really enjoying them, I actually, in that same realm, was able to talk to Frixion RC. Frixion RC offers these ReKoil shocks. And why am I talking about these ReKoil shocks after talking about something that is in this ballpark and in this vicinity of price point? Well, the reason is that ReKoil shocks made by Frixion RC are actually about $60 a pair, and they offer a lot of similarities as far as that dual spring rate design, right? And they do also come with a single spring to modify them to be a single spring rate instead of dual spring rate. Another thing that I also enjoyed is that these are adjustable from 100 millimeters down to 95 millimeters. The 95 millimeter difference, and the way to change that is by changing the actual end right here. They do come with them inside of the bag, so if you do shake that, change that bottom ball end, you can change one that's 5 millimeters shorter. These 95s should actually work a lot better as far as keeping the exact shock length that comes with the Gen 9. I still recommend proper weight of shock oil. Obviously, these aren't going to be built as the same, or have in them the same kind of components that the KRONICs do, but I definitely think that these are headed in the right direction. Now, there's a lot of other manufacturers out there. There's a lot of folks, if you follow a lot of different pages, that love their, the Desert Lizards, which if you know anything about Desert Lizard shocks and have been around the crawling scene, you know that they pretty much started as the shocks themselves. The design of them, the bladder system inside of them, the internal spring rate inside of them, we've seen from other manufacturers offer them in the previous years. Boom Racing offered something that looked very identical to it. I can't tell you for sure that they're the exact same shock, but they definitely look very, very close to what is now offered with the Desert Lizards. Desert Lizards, in my opinion, are another good option, especially if you like to droop. What is droop? Well, droop is the actual way that you bleed, the actual shock that allows the shock to actually sit compressed, right? So as you're riding, it's riding in a more compressed state. But then when you go into an avenue, when you're crawling and you need that tire to just drop, right? You're sitting there like that, you need it to just kind of drop into the rock so that it can reach the rock and grab. It has that droop effect of 10 to 20 millimeters that allows it to drop and give you, hopefully, enough clearance of that tire to reach the ground and give you some traction as needed. Driving any crawler with a droop setup does have its own challenges on driving it. And again, when it comes to a droop and non-droop, it's really kind of more of a preference. I have come to really love running really small shocks on my vehicles. I love dragging the belly, and I love running 1.55s or 1.7 wheels and tires on my rigs, and that allows the whole truck to sit a lot lower in a smaller tire avenue. There's a lot of guys out there that, even myself when I started, would put 2.2s on a crawler and run 110 mil shocks on my vehicles because that was the thing to do for a long period of time. It's kind of like the 80s. You just want to forget about that era sometimes, you know? But again, in my opinion, running a hard body, small shocks, that's kind of my personal style. But that's the great thing about when you're crawling or you're RCing, is that you cater to your style of driving and your style of building, right? So just because Joe Schmo down the street says, yo, I only run Desert Lizards and I only run 50 weight oil front and rear and I only run brass weights on everything, that's cool. Joe Schmo over there, good for you, man, enjoy it, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that that same setup is going to work for you. If your driving style is a little bit different, you may want to, what I recommend doing is modify as you go. Make small changes to your vehicle, whether you're adding weight down low to offer a better lower center of gravity, like brass weights on the diff covers and or your outside portal housings, or maybe you want to go with the trio setup and replace the axles with something with a little bit more weight that sits down low. It could be something as simple as maybe wanting to run rock lights, right? Whatever it is that you do, just make sure that you do it one thing at a time and get to enjoy those small wins. In a perfect world, if we were to own, you know, your favorite Jeep or your favorite Toyota out there in the real world as a one-to-one. It'd be awesome to be able to buy one and then go and splurge $15,000 on suspension, wheels, tires, maybe a turbo, maybe, you know, some bead locks, and, you know, be able to air up and air down with a mobile compressor. All of those things would be awesome. But the reality is, if you're like myself in the RC world, I treat it just as much as I do in the one-to-one world. Today, you know what, I can only afford tires. So I'm going to start with tires and see how it does, see how it changes, right? You know what, I noticed that it's still a little top heavy. Okay, well now maybe I need to start adding a little bit of weight down low, and I might buy, you know, outer portal housings that are brass. I might buy a diff cover that's brass, or I might buy some axle housings that are aluminum that might have a little bit more weight compared to the way the truck came with the plastic housings. Then I'll go out there and drive it again and see how it changes. There's something really rewarding, in my opinion, when it comes to making these subtle changes and allowing you to, you know, feel and see exactly what the difference is in the way your vehicle is, you know, responding. It really makes you, as a builder, as a maintainer of your RCs, just that more in touch with your vehicle. So I commend Frixion RC for offering a little bit more of a budget-friendly option in comparison to the BDS shocks. Again, these roughly run about $59 per pair. They do offer them in quite a bit different lengths, and I believe those go in a 5mm interval. On the ReKoil shocks made by Frixion RC, they are available in a 55 to 60 millimeter length, which is great for those guys that love that ultra scale look. 65 to 70 millimeter, 75 to 80 millimeter, 85 to 90 millimeter, 95 to 100 millimeter, and of course the 105 to 110s. So a lot of options, which from any manufacturer that offers anything for the RC world, I can definitely get behind. So again, if you are in the market and you want to start looking at some shock options for your crawlers in general, definitely check out Frixion RC or check out Pitbull RC. The links to both of these products are in the description of this video. Don't hesitate, check them out. And again, make sure that you pick up some shock oil for yourself while doing so. Let's double check some of these comments really quick. Make sure I'm not missing anyone. Andrew Steen, what's going on, man? Clay Keats, man, Mr. King of the Streets is in the house. Appreciate you swinging on by, man. Electric RC says, hey now, I was born in the 80s. So was I, bro. I'm totally kidding, but I appreciate that. And Fishing Bill, man, I love it. He nailed it, right? Yeah, it goes along with what I was saying. He says, build your rig, not what everyone else is. And I absolutely am a firm believer of that. I had a lot of guys when I really started in the RC scene that were able to afford the most high-end servos. And this is way before the servo war started, right? I call it the servo war era because now there's so many servos out there for so many different needs and so many different pocketbooks. And they all claim to be, you know, the best in their realm, and nothing wrong with that at all. But there was a time where you only had 3 manufacturers to choose from, unless you wanted something from like AliExpress, you know, and you get what you get. So it was really interesting back in those days to still be rocking, you know, a $25 servo from Amazon when everyone was running high-tech servos for $160 because that was the thing to do, right? Or a Savox 1231 at $70. So it's definitely come a long way, right? And we've seen that change in progression happen over the years on various avenues, from tires to shocks to servos to gyros to bodies to RC lights to tires. I mean, it's insane how much has changed literally just in the last 10 years. So build it your way. Enjoy it, right? And acknowledge the little changes that you do and how it performs differently. It will, I guarantee you, it will make you appreciate the things that you're doing to your RC tenfold every time you take it out. Rose said, I see Redcat going to start carrying friction shocks. No, we personally are not carrying friction shocks. I just so happen to have reached out to them to see if they can send me a set to highlight them on the show. I'm going to try and do this a lot more, guys, going into the, the rest of the year, is try to reach out to manufacturers so that we can highlight things that fit our RC products, whether it's, the drift car, whether it's crawler, whether it's basher, just to try and highlight some things for you guys that are available out there that you guys may already know about, or be just, maybe just need a refresher that it exists, or maybe it's your first time even hearing about the product. So just kind of want to get out there and highlight some more things, not just what we're doing, but what everyone else is doing out there as well. Andy Kastner, this discussion is shocking. I love it. He got it. He got the joke. I love it. Staying on track and not bouncing around. Laugh out loud. That's how you do puns. I love it, Andy, man. Thank you for that one, bro. Christopher Alvarado, man. What's good, man? Thank you for swinging by, bro. Felix says, that's all I run on my hard body. Small shocks work for me, but every rig is different. Absolutely, man, absolutely. Fish and Bill Trail Hobbies, I definitely love using their stuff as well. Had really good luck with their products over the last couple of years. Louis Alcala, man, Louis, what's good, bro? Hopefully you're doing well. And Electric RC, man, I hear you, bro. He says Redcat is really hard to get out here in Wales. So, yeah, dude, I hear that quite a bit. I see quite a bit of posts about that. And in a perfect world, man, I'd love to be able to see our products across the pond and in your guys' hands every day of the week. That would be amazing in itself. So thank you so much for those comments. And I hope and pray that something can change in the future that allows you guys to enjoy that without those crazy duty fees that you guys pay for out there. Let's see. Zeke Jumbo, what's going on, man? Let's see. Fish and Bill says, they may make a variety of different parts from mild to wild when it comes to pricing, but the man still only buys top shelf tacos. You know what? I got you, bro. I get behind that 100%, man. I love that. Felix says, now I want to go hit some trails. Man, me too, man. I'm eager to get out there. Electric RC says, remember when people had to write their frequencies on the end of their 6-foot antennas? Bro, no joke. We didn't even write the frequency. We would put these like agriculture colored flags, right? Because each pill was a different color, right? You had yellow, blue, green, and each pill crystal had a different frequency. So we would tie those flags on your antenna so you know, hey, I'm running red, I'm running blue. Dude, yeah. Oh gosh. I don't miss those days at all. Louis says, I want lowrider news. I ain't got none for you, brother. Not today. Christopher Alvarado, man, like I said earlier, bro, unfortunately, man, we are waiting for those 26ers to arrive. We did get one of the final samples, as I mentioned earlier, on the spoke wheels. And the engineering team saw some flaws that they personally just didn't like. They didn't feel that it was of quality, and had some changes made. So now we've delayed a little bit. I was told that we may see them as early as this week, and as late as potentially next week. We might be looking at mid next month before we get them in. I know it's a pain. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting patiently for these wheels. If there's any way that we can get them here sooner, we definitely will for you guys. All right. Jared says, I love you guys for making and building a lowrider chassis. If you need to release the Builder Monty chassis next. You know what, dude, that's actually a great thing. And it's actually come up a few different times. I definitely agree. I think the LR 260, I believe is what we call it. The chassis for the Monty, I think by itself in a show builder's kit or even by itself should definitely be something we should offer. I think that would be amazing as well. So great comment. Thank you for that. Let's see, just double checking some comments here. William Cohen, unfortunately, we're not opening up for pre-orders at the moment, but I'm sure your request is being seen. If there's a possibility for that and an option, I'm sure they may look into that in the future. So, guys, you know, that kind of wraps up that sector of it. As mentioned, a big shout out to Pitbull RC. Amazing folks out there. They offer things like tires, a huge amount of tires for the crawling scene, as well as other avenues. But their tires are superb. I've loved their tires for a long time. Love their KRONIK shocks. Definitely worth checking out. Thank you to all the guys out there doing a lot of hard work and putting it in. Pitbull RC's definitely changing the game when it comes to now shocks, tires, and other avenues, hopefully in the near future. Another big shout out to Frixion RC for sending us these shocks to test out and put on the Gen 9. Thank you so much for allowing us to be able to showcase your guys' products. That's always awesome in itself. So let's kind of move forward a little bit, guys, moving on. And let's talk a little bit about some upcoming events, because there's some things that we have coming up this week. Oh, Louis, here's your lowrider news that you wanted, bro. So as we've been talking the last couple weeks, right? We have the Redcat Boulevard being set up at the Dallas Lowrider Super Show. The Dallas Lowrider Super Show is being hosted by the original lowrider scene. You do have to pay your entry fee into the actual event. Then there's a fee to enter your vehicle into the actual Redcat Boulevard, where they're going to have their own car show. So big shout out to Block Boys out there in Dallas. They're doing it big. They're working with the original lowrider to bring you guys a great mini event inside of the big lowrider show itself. I look forward to seeing pictures and videos, guys. Make sure you share them and blast them everywhere you can. We look forward to the turnout that you guys are going to have, and best of luck. The event itself is going to happen this Sunday, May 28th. It will be at the Dallas Fair Park. So if you want more information on that, again, head on over to their website, get your general admission tickets to get in, and then you can go ahead and pay to enter your vehicle if you have a vehicle that you want to enter into this specific Redcat Boulevard scene and car show that's going to be happening there. All right. What else is coming up, man? We also have, where to go? I thought I had it in here. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? It's my KRONIK shocks, right? My specs on my KRONIK shocks. Discount code. All right. So as we mentioned, guys, I believe there is also an event in Colorado, and I had it saved here. For some reason, I can't find it. I do have it listed in the description of this video. A big shout out to RC Basement. They're setting up a car show at, oh man, I'm going to have to bring this up here. Hold on one sec. The event is going to be the Colorado Super Show. It's going to be hosted by RC Basement. It's going to happen this Saturday, May 27th at 12 p.m. and it will go from 12 to 6 p.m. It will be held at Pueblo Convention Center. If you want information on this, head on over to www.lowrider.show for more details. So big shout out to Sid the RC guy for hosting that. If you know Sid, you know his aura, you know how he gets down. It's always a good time. It's always laughs. It's always fun. Definitely something that you guys should check out if you're anywhere near the area. All right. Proline by the Fire will be happening. I think that's going to be in September. And then the weekend after that is the Autism Awareness Crawl in Northern California at Bear River Lake Resort. There's a lot of other events in that fashion that are happening. And I will update you guys a little bit more as we're getting a little bit closer to that as well. But nonetheless, guys, so we talked about some shocks. You guys know a little bit now about it. There's a lot of other shocks that are available out there. There's Desert Lizards. There's Proline offers their own scalar shocks as well. Haven't had the best of luck with the Proline shocks keeping oil in them. They've always leaked out. I have not had that issue with the KRONICs, which I like. But yeah, nonetheless, If you have a Gen 9, if you have a Gen 8, if you have a Gen 7, these shock options that I mentioned will work for those avenues. As mentioned, based on the weight of your vehicle itself, the total weight, you're going to want to stick to something between 30 and 35 weight oil in the front. And you want to bump up anywhere from 40, 45, maybe even 50, depending on the total weight of the truck, weight of oil for the rear shocks themselves. So let me double check, make sure there aren't any other questions. We already covered the 26ers, which we're patiently waiting on. Felix, bro, it'd be great to have you out, man. Definitely check it out. That event is going to be a 2-day event for the Autism Awareness Crawl, hosted by ASD Crawlers. And we're going to have a drift track set up by Native Drift at that event. There's going to be an event happening on Friday there that's going to be something that's still in the works, but it should be really fun. It's going to be kind of a crawler competition with a twist. So if you are going to the event, definitely prepare to be there Friday and Saturday. There's also going to be a big Memorial Friday for my brother Brandon, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year. And this is an event that I founded with him and co-founded with him. So there's definitely going to be some tears to shed and some good times and some smiles at the same time. Saturday is a full day event, right? We're going to have, as I mentioned, a drift track, maybe about 6 or 7 trails to crawl in. There's going to be a monster truck showdown going on, put on by NorCal Monster Trucks. There's going to be a sled pull competition. There's going to be a trailer pull competition. There's going to be all these little mini events that just kind of make it fun. And then, of course, as always, us at ASD Crawlers always host one of the biggest raffles in the Northern California. I'd even venture to say probably one of the biggest raffles in all of the U.S., in my opinion. Our raffles usually take 3 hours or so to get through. Sometimes they're a little bit longer, but there's just that much amount of product and that much amount of good times to have. So definitely worth checking out. Jared says, I need to buy a fast enough basher for my dog to play with that won't break the bank. Dude, volcanoes aren't too bad. I mean, depending, what kind of dog do you have? Like, is he fast or is he like, like sort of fast? It depends, right? Let's see. Jared says Redcat needs to have a show in Minnesota as well. Minnesota would be a great place to visit, man. That'd be awesome. I agree with that statement very much. So, guys, as mentioned, man, I appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us, being a part of this scene, enjoying us talking about something a little different today, especially when it comes to the crawler scene. We'll try and see if we can find some other things that we can highlight in the coming weeks. Next week is episode 100, so it's kind of a proud moment to have sat here for 100 episodes with you guys. Now, that doesn't count a lot of the live shows that we've done off-site. Only the 100 episodes that we've done within this studio right here. It's kind of a trip to think that I've been able to go live with you guys staring at my face, and I haven't thrown up once, from being nervous, and I haven't walked off yet, from a comment, and I still come back for more. So, there's that. Hey, but on the real, man, you guys are all amazing. We appreciate you guys, coming back week after week, whether you're a crawler, a drifter, whether you're into the lowrider RC scene or you're a basher. Your place in the hobby matters, and we appreciate every single one of you guys for helping make and keep and make Redcat what it is today, and a fun, loving company that loves RCs to its max. Rose RC, there was that one time at USTE. Yeah, there was that one time at USTE, wasn't it? Oh, man. Let's see here. Let me double check some of these comments. Bob's RC joined in, man. What's going on, brother? How are you? One Pitbull mix and a Springer Spaniel boxer. Dude, I guarantee you those bad boys are quick. A Ducano might not be fast enough. The empty 10E might keep them off your tail. Pretty inexpensive when it comes to what you're getting. The Volcano EPX Pro might be another option as well to look into. But guys, I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. My final thought that I'll leave with you guys is while your guys are out there mingling inside of the pages, whether it's a Redcat page or another page, just remember that there's somebody in the hobby that is just starting out and is afraid to ask questions. And sometimes them stepping out and asking a question is probably the most anxiety that they felt doing so to start with. So practice being kind. Practice helping each other out. Remember that no crawler, basher, RCer gets left behind. Let's help each other grow. From me to you guys stay blessed. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same channel, for episode 100. Peace.